channel. So there you go. Recording has been started. And then we'll give it a couple more minutes and then we'll kick it off with the official topic. Does anyone have a reveal video they're planning on showing tonight? Ian does. Excellent. Anybody else have an official reveal video they want to show? Nightcrawlers, I don't think we want to show Nightcrawlers yet. We did kind of rough draft and said we have to change a few things tomorrow, so ours unfortunately is not ready to show. But I think I can show our CAD tonight. I think that'll be okay. Nobody else? Nobody else has a reveal video they're planning to show? Anybody want to show another team's reveal video?
We don't have a reveal video yet, but I've got a video of our robot working that I'll show.
Awesome. Yeah, let's do it. That sounds great. Maybe I can find some videos of us running autos. I'll see if I can find some videos of us running autos and then I can share those as well.
I have some videos where the auto went terribly wrong.
Hey, as long as you learn something from them, those are good things to share. I'm really glad we put temporary bumper covers on our bumpers for week 0, and I'm really glad we did that because there are a lot of holes in our bumper fabric. So I'm very
I have
pleased.
several videos from week 0. I can share those.
Okay.
Yeah, let me pull those up.
Yeah, and I think I gotta see if I can find some auto videos while you guys are doing that. Well, all right. I think people might stumble in yet, but let's get started. Ian, do you want to start by showing us your video?
Sure. I think I fixed my screen sharing this week. So that should work. We can screen share, that tab, share. Can everybody see this?
Yeah, it's coming up.
Okay.
Wow, that was pretty cool. Did your robot ever tip over? Jump in like that? Did you bounce and like flip?
We haven't tipped jumping out, and something in the reveal video I didn't notice until you're editing was the POV shot. The bearing was loose because we shot the POV shot after we accidentally rammed into the charge station, and it kind of stopped us from jumping. Quite a few things broke in that moment, and we didn't catch that one until when we were editing the video, which was kind of funny.
Wow. That was an excellent video, by the way, too. Good
Thank
job.
you.
Anybody else have a video they want to share? Reveal video or otherwise?
Yep. So I got the video from our week 0. Let me share my screen real quick. Hold on, this 1 second. All right. You see this video?
We see
Perfect.
Here we go, ladies and gentlemen, robots working on their own. This is doing 2052, grabbing the cone, getting up on that trucking station, and all in autonomous. Now we're into driver control. This is also called teleop. It's teleoperated. Kind of a name from the past. 2052 scores and going. Over on Red Alliance, Fire Bears, get ready to put on one of those nodes in the grid. So close, they'll get that title window. Fight of the Fire Bears, 2052 swooshes another cone onto the node of the Blue Alliance grid, and that's the competition grid, if I'm not mistaken. Fire Bears over in their substation, grabbing some cones. There's a link for the Blue Alliance. That's 3 game pieces up on the grid, all lined up in a row. And that's the competition grid as well. 2052, number 2, up on the Blue Alliance grid. Here goes 7797, that's Ripsaw Robotics over to their substation, grabbing 4 game pieces. Blue Alliance Robotics, kind of precarious, but it's still up there. There's a code on the middle, we've got another link for Blue Alliance. There's another link. 2 links for the Blue Alliance. Red Alliance 7797 trying to get on that charging station. Another code going up for the Blue Alliance. Oh, it kind of falls out. 9 seconds to go. 352 up on their charging station. They're engaged.
That was one of our better matches. Yeah. Helps when there's not a lot of traffic in the way either. Somebody else said they had some auto videos. Want to show them?
I'll show ours.
That shooting robot is so cool. How did you feel like Audie, how did you feel like your week 0 went?
It went okay. We had some like just human errors that like really stopped us, but the robot itself did really well.
Good. Anyone else have anything they want to share?
I can share a quick video of our open house yesterday. You can see us tuning the arm a little bit in it. So we had broke out an old robot for kids to drive around while we were working on the arm.
Oh, you got some defense.
So short video, CAD for the robot. You can see we've got telescoping arm here, which the CAD doesn't want to move right now. So this goes up and down, the arm goes in and out. We've got some gas springs here to counterbalance the arm. We have a bicycle disc brake to help hold it in place when it's all the way up, although it works fine when we just put the arm up, but as soon as we extend the arm, that increased torque is enough that the brake isn't quite enough. So we have to stall the motor a little bit anyways. But that's pretty much it.
That's very clever with the disc brake.
Third time we've used that disc brake.
I like the CAD. I can bring up our CAD. I can do that. While I'm bringing that up, does anybody else have anything they want to show? Let me see here. I gotta find Isaac's CAD. Isaac's not on this call. Isaac from KnightKrawler, are you on the call? I'd let him show it if he's on. Cheryl, go ahead. If you got video of your shop, let's see it.
Give me like 2 minutes to go grab it,
Okay.
like in the files. I gotta track it down.
All
I had
right.
like 1,300 photos and videos we had to download. So it's in there, but it's like just 2 weeks ago. So I'm gonna grab it.
All right. Well, I'm still trying to get our file up here. It's loading. Okay. I think I've got something I can share here. So let me present my screen. This one. All right. So we have a sophomore on the team named Isaac who did most of this CAD here. Do I have the grid? Yep, there's the grid. And oh gosh, put our bumpers on there. So anyway, we have a three-stage elevator. So it's a cascading elevator. This one goes like a continuous elevator, but our elevator is a cascading elevator in the CAD here. And so it goes up pretty darn high. When this thing that looks like a dog's head comes out, this is our pickup position, and we have these 3-inch wheels here, and then a 1-inch roller bar on the bottom. And so we pick up the cones off the floor like this, and they get popped in between those two wheels there. And then as we raise up, this height that we pick up is the same height with our 60-degree elevator. So when the cones are in the intake, you can zoom out here. When our cones are in the intake, they are positioned sort of like this. And so then we raise the head up to the point where we're lined up with the pole, and then we just spit it straight out. And if we want to score on this one here, we have to back the robot up because we're too close to the pipe. So we can put our bumpers right up against the bottom here and score on the top one, but we have to back up a little bit if we want to score in the middle row. And then one of the things, whoop, let me get rid of this cone. One of the things that we did too with this intake is what we call the baby bird single station. So here's our single feeder station geometry. And so if you put this cone down the feeder station, come on, rotate. Why won't you rotate? Oh, wait a minute. I've got all my things mixed up. Hide this. Pull this out. Put this back in. Right, geometries. I don't know why this won't rotate now. What am I doing wrong? Well, now I don't even know. But anyway, so the cone slides down here, and this thing's sitting here with its mouth wide open, and the cone pops in between these two wheels like a baby bird getting fed from its mom. So that was this 4-bar mechanism that we designed. It took Isaac. We worked on this for a really long time to get the geometries just right for the intake and then the feeder from the feeder station so that when we go up at this same angle, come on. When this goes up at the same angle, we had to make it so that the angle would work so that we could get fed from this feeder station, but then also that same angle would put us out right where we needed to be to score on that top pipe. So that was a tricky challenge for us. This head was also too big too, so like John, we had to add gas shocks to give us a little bit of an assist in order to pull it in because we didn't have the space we needed on this piston to be able to get the enough of a pivot point to pull this big heavy head in with polycarb. So we had to use some gas shocks, but that worked out really well, and now things are working pretty good for the most part. We're happy with it. I think it'll do well for us. Did you find your video, Cheryl?
I did. I had to go over to another tab. Let's see if I can. I'm a Teams girl, so where's the share screen? There it is. So if I hit present now, will it take me to my tabs?
I think it'll give you the option to share your whole screen or share a specific window.
There, yep, it does. Let me go. This is what I have kids for. Robotics kits. Give me 2 seconds to find it here because I just put it in a spot so I could easily find it. Where did it go? Oh my heavens. It's in my Google Photos, so I'm trying to get it from my Google Photos to you.
Go ahead, get it ready, and then you can share your screen when you're ready. Does anyone else have anything they want to share tonight? Videos or photos or CAD? Well, we're waiting for Cheryl. What about this? Anyone have any observations in the second week 0? We talked about what Ryan Swanson shared some really good insights last week about what he observed from the official week 0, but also from the week 0 up in, was it Wilmer? Is that where it was? Interesting observations about 2 robots can score just as many as 3 robots because of the tight traffic zones. So that was an interesting observation that having 3 offensive robots can sometimes not be all that better than having 2. Mohammed, I don't know if you can tell or not, but your mic is really crackly. If you were trying to say something, we didn't hear it. I was surprised at our week 0. don't remember seeing anyone tip over. I really thought we'd see more robots tip over. We didn't really have heavy defense, but
We had one team that kind of half tipped over, but then they were able to actually push themselves back up with their arm.
oh,
I don't remember what team it was. They were pretty tall. But yeah, I agree. I did not see as much tipping as I thought I would.
I'm pretty sure that was us.
Oh, thanks, Yoji. That was 3082. So chicken pot pie.
Dylan, I think I heard you say that you thought it was us. We had a near miss as well. We were very close to tipping over, but it didn't hit the tipping point. We came back up on our wheels. That was close. Another thing that I saw at our week 0 that I thought was interesting is that there were a number of teams that sort of got two wheels. Well, they sort of fell off the side of the driver station or the balance charging station thing, and they were able to back off at an angle and then get back on, which I thought was really great. We had a triple balance that worked that way, where there were three boats on, one sort of edged off the edge. Luckily, they weren't top heavy, and they were able to back up down the ramp at a big angle and then get back on and do the triple balance. That was really neat. I figured anybody who went off the edge would be a goner, but I think I saw that happen at least twice where people recovered and were able to get back on.
One thing I noticed that at week 0 was sometimes it's easier for two robots to balance at once than a single robot. There's a couple of times where two robots able to balance in 5 seconds, while it took one robot to balance much longer.
Yeah, I think that extra mass can slow down the tip, so there's probably something to that.
I mean, how many people added? So we watched you guys from our shop. We had planned to come, and unfortunately, snow has kept us out of the school, and we broke the robot at the first week 0. So we watched, which was good because my drivers never got their hands on the robot. So my drive crew sat in front of the big screen watching 0 and doing their drive meeting and strategies and how they were going to work with other teams, which was super beneficial. How many robots or how many teams have had to weigh down your robot?
We added 32 pounds of steel plate in the belly pan, but then we were a pound over, so then we had to take it all out. We cut one in half. So we had two steel plates that were, I think they were about 12 by 24. They were 32 pounds. And so we ended up taking out one of the plates and putting a half plate back in. So now we have, well, let's see, that'd be 32, it's 24 pounds of steel plates in the bottom of our robot. And I think we're 4 pounds under or something like that. We added a few more. We added a bunch more polycarb in order to protect our elevator and protect some of our wiring. So we put some of the weight back on with that. But yeah, we added weight. I don't know. What about everybody else? How much weight did everybody else have to add?
Well, we added a lot. We're not as high yet now, but we're at 113. We have just a few more things we have to do, but we're always heavy and overweight. So this is a first for us. So that's fun. But I was like, we're adding weight.
Yeah,
So
I think
same steel plates
we
across the board.
we had, well, 2016 was with Stronghold, you had to go under that little bar. So if you were a little robot, you were pretty light. But yeah, without the weight, we were surprised how low we were. We didn't think we'd be that light. Ken, you got something to say? Oh, you're raising your hand. I didn't know.
Sorry, that was an accident. I was just.
It's okay. Did you get your video to work yet, Cheryl?
I did. I know exactly where it is. Now I'm going to get it on the screen here.
Yeah, see if you can figure out how to do the share.
I know, right? So tab is best or window. So how come it's not putting it in this tab? Can I, because it's right here. But it's not doing it.
All right, so here's
And
the shop
this is
tour.
not sharing. Is it sharing on your side?
We hear the audio, but not the video.
All right, let's figure out how to make that happen.
Where the button
We hear
is.
the audio.
Hello.
There should be well, did you get the share screen dialog to come up?
Yep,
And then
got the
should be able
share
to-
screen.
You should be able to either do your entire window, your entire screen, a window, or a tab.
Yep.
I
So
usually do entire screen when I share, but the others should all work.
let's see if I should do that. That should work, right? Where'd you go? I think I just have too many tabs open here. Let's do entire screen. Where's that? So share again. It's not giving me the entire screen option.
I wonder if do you have a school computer and maybe you're locked down in some way.
All right, so let's see if I can share the entire screen. And then you'll just see what I'm seeing, right?
Oh, there we go. It's working.
Okay,
Yeah,
so then let me go down. Let me see if you can see it. Hold on, I can't see with the text box. Now, can you see kids?
Yes, kids in cars.
All right, yeah, well, that's our shop. All right, now where's the play button on here? Enter. Oh, here it is. Sorry.
All right, so here's the shop tour for the Blue Jacket Robotics. All right, so here we are in the auto shop, and this is where the button crew is. Everybody, hello. Doom. And then
He's our fab coach,
through the
Doom.
auto shop, the kids have resources here to do welding. I don't know. I'm trying to talk loud enough so that you guys can hear, but it is loud on Robotics Day. So here's our welding area. So our cutter is here.
Okay.
On the fire pit. And then we have individual spots for welding and plenty of opportunity for the kids to learn it. They don't already know it. Got a great shop teacher in the welding department, Greg Doom. He's fantastic. So we don't spend too much time here in the auto shop because it's obviously full of stuff. But we utilize this space for our potluck lunches, button making, and other things. So then we come through here. This is our trades room. And so this is where our field is. We're currently working on the pits. So there's a pit change this year. So that's what we're working on. And then we have half a field set up. So it's nice to have that space. And then I'm doing the tour for KnightKrawler's Sunday meeting. And then obviously this is a hot mess, but we use these bays for storage. We have lots of different locations for storage. And then we have shop. So we're working. So we keep the robot stays in here because it's a locked cabinet, and then we store things and stuff here, spread out all over. Programmers are working over here. This is where the code is going. Code. Let's see what she's working on. Programmers.
That's all I have, too.
And then this is a machining shop and machining equipment. So they were just making a pulley over here. I don't know if it was today or last week, but we're allowed to utilize this space. We have a couple of kids that are pretty well practiced on this equipment from their shop classes here. So we're pretty fortunate there. And then I'm going to zip out.
Oh, that's right. I had him remounted.
One more space, really. Well, I guess two more spaces. Some seasons we're fortunate to be able to set up a full field, but we're full of sheds this year, so the full field's not set up. That's the nerd loft up there. So there's parts up there, but it's super steep, so we try not to keep that much up there. This is the wood shop. So this is where they build the bumpers, and every once in a while some other things. And we have an engraver over there that we utilize from time to time. And then the last room of our space. Sorry, this is longer than I thought it was going to be, but it's a lot of area to cover. This is the computer lab here. Currently, the VEX class has dumped a bunch of stuff up in here, but this is usually where the programmers are. We're using the boards up there for code and class and practice. And then when the kids are doing awards, they sit here in the computer space here. A lot of them have Chromebooks now, but the computer lab is nice for that. So we do a lot of that here in this space. And then this is the garrison. That's what we call it. This is where the tool cribs are stored. This is where we keep the, like last year's robot, other miscellaneous stuff. It's a nice big space. We were just moved over here this year because we used to have the nerd office and a couple other places, but they kicked us out of those spaces. But this space is actually working out better. So 5464 Cambridge is Sammy, Blue Jacket Robotics. That's their workspace and shop space. So,
All right. How do I stop sharing now? Right?
I think, yeah, there's a button right there on your screen. Stop
Oh,
sharing.
thank you so much. I'm sorry. I'm a Teams, so I'm like still
That was
learning.
a great tour. Wow, you guys have a lot of different space you get to utilize.
Yeah, we are super fortunate. I do try to remind our kids, kids are kids, right? They always are like, oh, we lack IT. We have no IT classes. There's no programming, no anything. Our VEX class happens about every other year. They do a VEX class or something like that. So it's whatever teacher comes in. So currently the woodshop teacher is teaching that, but doesn't have, it's unfortunate because without experience with robotics, that's the intro that they get is sometimes every other year or so, but they're trying. So it'd be nice to have some more IT, like any type of that. But the kids are very fortunate that they have this amazing shop space and, opportunities to use it. And the kids they're good at it. My kids work hard, so it's fun to watch them. So.
Yeah, that's great. I'm super jealous of all that big machinery.
I was a little nervous. I'm like, do I put this on there? Because then people will be like, Cambridge is such a small town. What do you mean you have all that space? But we do have a good amount of space. This year, we're duking it out a little bit more than we normally do because we have a new athletic director.
Mm-hmm.
But it's hard to say no to all their faces. So I just bring them in and tour them around a lot. And then the school board came in and met the kids this last week. So you got all those faces all working and not, they don't see us, they see the kids. And so it's hard to say no to that.
No, that's good. We have programming at our high school, but our kids can't usually get into the programming class till they're juniors or seniors. So we end up teaching our kids everything they need to learn for programming. And then by the time they actually get to take comp sci in high school, they just whiz right through the class because they're already experts in the programming.
Well, that's good then. Easy A for them in high school. They can focus more on robotics.
Right. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, that'd be cool if they brought in programming classes, but if it's at the AP, if it's AP programming, they may not be able to take it anyway until they've already learned everything they needed to know.
Yeah, and they do try Project Lead the Way a couple of times. They had Project Lead the Way for 2 years when my kid was in school, but they can't seem to keep that rolling either. And so that middle school bracket is where they moved it to, which I was pretty excited about. But now they're looking again for another Project Lead the Way teacher. So.
David, I just saw your message in the chat. That's great. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I mean, even if you guys are looking for like restaurant recommendations or anything that you guys need while you're up here, just let us know and we can direct you to where you need to go. Or if you're looking for that random part in the middle of the afternoon, where you need to go to find it, I'll be in 4009's pit, or email me or whatever, and we can direct you on where you best can find it.
It's fantastic. Yeah, I know that at week 0 we were approached by a couple of different teams wanting to buy some rev motors from us, and it's just been so hard to get the parts they need. So Is anyone else struggling? Does anyone not have something they need on their competition robot and they're scrambling last minute?
Or if that evil field judge or inspector fails your 2.5-inch pool noodles, we have some in our shop. Because you're not going to find pool noodles in Duluth in March.
No. Yeah, there you go. That's good advice too. I will keep that in the back of my head.
It was hard finding new batteries in Coon Rapids in March. I think everybody's going out there for them Duracells for the robots. So,
pool noodles is one of those things that we just never take to we never take extra pool noodles to competition. It has never occurred to me until now that is maybe something we should start bringing with us just in case.
Fill your corners.
We use the 2.5. We use the Oodles and Noodles solid core, exactly 2.5-inch noodles. They're big and beefy. They're really, really nice.
We had a mentor a couple years ago that couldn't find them, and she ordered boxes upon boxes upon boxes of pool noodles. So we have like 3 in our closet.
Excellent.
Still.
I don't think we need any parts. We burnt out a bunch of sparks this week.
Oops.
And so I loaned a bunch to Mora, and so they have been trying. I guess their programmers are just not working with the Maxes. So they came and dropped off what I had, because obviously I'm not going to get any new ones. But I think we might be good on there. I think I might have like 2 bonus sparks for if that happens in competition. But programming.
Is it because you're stalling the motors too hard?
Yes, it is because of that.
So are you running the CTRE PDP, or are you running the Rev PDP?
We have the Rev.
This
is our first year.
So this is exactly what someone came to our pit asking for a motor, because they wanted a brushless motor so they could stall it, because I think they were running a 775. Nate was our mentor. Nate was telling us about this. Is Nate on the call? Maybe.
Yeah, I am.
Nate, you want to share the story and kind of the advice around that?
Sure, I might get some extra commentary in the background from my son, but yeah, I mean, they were looking to they asked for a Neo 550, and they explained that they were using a brush motor, a 755 Pro. And I kind of asked more about why, before I was happy to say, yeah, we can work a deal, but let's understand the problem. And they said, yeah, it was getting really hot, and I said, well, how are you using it? And it was used for an intake, and they were having to stall it to hold the game piece. And I explained that we do the same thing. We have a 775 Pro on ours, and utilizing, in this case, we're using a Talon SRX speed controller on the CAN bus, and you can do current limiting. So our intake, it'll spike up to 30 amps or more. We have a limit set. And so when it does that, it keeps running the intake, but drops it down to, let's say, 2.5 amps, where the 775 motors, and you can find the specs for most motors where they can, the stall current over time. So if the rotor is locked and you supply 12 volts, let's say, the 775 will, start smoking in a matter of seconds. But let's say you're supplying 2 volts or 4 volts, you might be able to stall that for an entire match. So just trying to explain to them what you could do there without having to necessarily change your motor. Maybe a brushless may have handled that situation better, but I think long term they would have had problems and really needed to focus on the current limiting aspects.
Yeah, the brushless have the same problem. We have current limits on our Spark Maxes. The 550s, you don't want to go above 20 amps continuous for any real length of time. For the Neos, I think you can go up to 30 amps without worrying.
Yeah, and you can get current limiting off the speed controller, or you could get it off of the power distribution hub as well. And you can either, as Nate said, make a setting saying that this is your maximum current draw, or you could put code to monitor the amp pull out of your PDP, PDH, and then lower your percentage that your motor runs on if you wanted to do it that way. So
I do know that if anybody wants to head to programming wise, I have two programmers. My department head programmer, she's a sophomore, so she's thrust into that position because of lack of inventory of children. And so my next programmer is a freshman. My programming coach is fairly new to the FIRST platform, and so he's an electrical engineer, and we're stuck on our autonomous. And it's a complex enough problem that we're coming to Duluth with it stuck in that situation. So if anybody wants to come and hang out with 5464 and chat with our Eva and our programming coach, Jake, that would be well received on Thursday.
Cheryl, are you at Northern Lights or Lake Superior?
We're on Superior, and Jake, my coach, my programming coach, he is out of town for 3 days. So he's gone till Thursday morning.
And then drive straight out.
I'd be happy. My lead programmer and I think would be happy to stop over and pop in, or you could come over, bring your laptop over to Northern Lights. We're on the Northern Lights side.
Yep. Perfect.
So depending on how practice matches go and how much programming attention we need, one or both of us could probably take a hand at it. Take a look at it. When you say it's complex, you're saying like things have to run at the same time, or
I think so currently what we're doing is we're only focusing right now on dropping a cone and moving on to the switch. And anything else that we're thinking about doing is now on hold because I think there's something with the vision that we're struggling with. And so there's a Raspberry Pi on there that my son, who used to program, we didn't utilize that because our old programming coach didn't ever want vision tracking and stuff. And so my kid has some limitations on that. And so he's on the kids Discord. So he'll be available for the programmers to talk to on Tuesday, but my drivers have to drive the robot this week. And so, I mean, they just have to. So we're putting programming on hold till Jake comes back, unless we have to, fix something in code because something breaks.
I see.
So we have a working robot, but we burned out 2 sparks 2 days ago. And so
they didn't change the motor out that was having issues.
Oh.
So they put a new motor controller on it and overamped it.
Hey, Cheryl, what's your team number? I can send one of the CSAs over there first thing on Wednesday.
5464. My team's not there Wednesday. My team is there.
Sorry, Thursday.
Yep.
We load in Wednesday.
Yep. So we'll be there Thursday. The bus, I'll be up there dropping the kids off at 8. So, and everything we're dropping off on go right away.
Hello.
Something happened with the internet.
Everybody there?
I'm still here.
Okay.
My internet went down last week. I had to log off and come back on.
It just said there was like issues. Everybody's name just disappeared. So yeah, that'd be great. So we're 5464. We're on the Superior side. So I appreciate it. And my coach for programming, his name is Jake.
Speaking of vision, how many people are doing stuff with April tags?
We're supposed to.
We're supposed to.
We're hoping
We are.
I think it's going to be. Things are going to have to go really well for us the next 2 days for us to get April tags into our code solution. We've been playing with it, but it's not part of our robot code yet. Andrew, did you say that you've got it working?
Yeah, we do. Yep. I kind of looked at it in the fall ahead of time with Photon Vision, and then I did a presentation on it at Jumpstart.
Oh, that's right.
It's on
yes,
YouTube.
you have a fantastic.
Yep.
Can you share a link for that? Because I know that you
Sure.
shared that in the past.
Yep.
I watched some of that, and I haven't even gotten through the whole thing yet because we've been dealing with other issues.
Yeah, and they've made it even easier. There's now a photon pose estimator that will do a bunch of the stuff that I described in that video too, where you give it your where your camera is mounted, and then you ask it for the pose, and it'll do the work.
So for the people that don't know, Andrew's team, that's the robot that shoots the cones onto the pole, right? Binary Battalion.
Right.
Andy,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Yeah. So are you using April tags for that aiming, or are you using the retroflective tape, or both to do
We're
that
using the
aiming?
tape right
Okay.
now. We're planning to use both. That's the plan this week, is to drive in front of it and then use the tape. But for the cubes, to just use the April tags and odometry to get in front of the space where we're going to throw them.
Now, when you're doing your aiming with the tape, do you distinguish between the high tape and the mid-tier tape?
Yeah.
Or or because they're in a line, does it not matter? Or maybe you're not doing it in a line always.
We actually have two limelights, one on the top that does the lower tape because we can see that one, and then we use that for our pickup to see the game pieces.
Okay.
And then we have a limelight that's mounted low, pointed upward, that we're using for the top tape. We tried to put it kind of at the same height for both, but the trouble is if you want to see your distance, you can't be at the same height as the tape. You have to be above or below the tape, or you won't get
Yes.
a good distance
Yeah,
measurement.
because you're using the angle, I assume, of where it
Right.
is, or maybe the height on the screen, something
Yep.
like that.
Yep. Yeah, it's not really big enough that we trusted that we could say trust the size of it. For example, we're afraid
Sure.
it's going to get scuffed up. Some of ours got pretty beat up. That if you count on the size and half of the tape falls off, then we're going to be in trouble.
No, so speaking of things getting scuffed up, I was wondering about with the April tags. No, and like I said, I'm not confident we're going to have that working for a robot, but if your April tag is mounted, just like even with the 2-degree tilt, that's going to change where you are in the field if the April tag's not perfectly level, or you're going to have to do field calibration somehow and deal with that, right?
Right. Yeah, you have to decide how much you're going to trust those tags on the field, but yeah, we'll have to measure them when the match or in the, at the beginning of the competition, but
That's one
they
of the
said they're
things
going to
that,
repair them with gaff tape too. So if they get
okay,
scuffed up, you might not be able to recognize them after they put gaff tape over some of them.
yeah.
But it would
The
be
thing,
okay to not see one. What would be worse is to see one in the wrong place, right? Like if it falls
sure,
off, you better be
yeah.
sure you're going to throw out one that's, telling you you're way off the field somewhere or something.
Yeah, because that pose estimator, I mean, if you can look at an April tag from anywhere and that tells you where you're at, if that April tag is a little bit askew, that's going to change the pose estimator's assumption of where you actually are because it's seeing it at a bit of an angle that's, not square. So
Hmm.
one of the things I think is going to be interesting, and we haven't even gotten to this point yet, is how do we how do we um, calibrate that, right? When you have field calibration, how do you go out there and calibrate that? And then if they have to repair it in the middle of a match, there really is no opportunity to then recalibrate over what new position it might be in when they put the new one on or something like that.
Right.
It'll be interesting. I, I'm confident we will get it worked out for our second regional. It's pretty iffy whether we're going to get it all working for our first one.
Yep.
Jeremiah, you raised your hand. Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry for the background noise. I have a question. I don't know what you guys have been talking about. I just got into the room. But I was reading something about needing a co-processor if you wanted to run a Microsoft camera and or an Limelight. You plug those directly into your reel, because Scott and I were talking earlier how to just use it for driver feed, just so the driver can see on the other side of the field. Do we need to have some kind of a core processor if we had to do something like that? And the second question, in addition to that, anyone in the group gonna be in Superior this weekend?
Yeah, we have a couple teams here who will be there.
I think
And I'll
there's
be
more.
inspecting.
Most of the people I think in here are going to be at Superior. We're going to be at Northern Lights, but I think 2 or 3 other people in this room are going to be at Superior. Andrew, do you want to
Good.
handle the co-processor question?
I guess it depends what you're looking to do. If you want to do some processing of it, you can. Limelight is definitely the easiest thing to do, but they cost $400, and if you don't have one now, you might not get one.
Oh, we got one.
Yeah, that's the easiest thing to do. You update it, you plug it in to your network, and it just starts sending you data. And they have a library this year that you copy the code into your code, and you just say Limelight helpers dot get target X, and it'll tell you how many degrees from the center the target is that you're looking at. It's really great with April tags too, but like Scott said, that's more complex. You have to deal with where are they on the field and everything, but it has a lot of built-in capability for that too.
So you won't need a coprocessor, Jeremiah, unless you are trying to run a USB camera. you'll want to run that USB camera through a Raspberry Pi, for
Okay.
example, as a coprocessor.
Okay.
But just to get the camera feed on the driver station so your drivers can use it as a driver camera, you can talk directly to the Limelight for that. It has a stream. You can just drop that on shuffleboard. And then if
All
you
right.
want to get the data from it, like Andrew was explaining, that all goes to network tables and you can just pull that. Oh, actually, now you said there's a library. I assume that
Right.
the
Yep.
library means that you
It
no longer have to go through the network tables.
right. It handles that for you. Yep.
I
Oh,
would
nice.
take caution using the libraries, though. I looked at them for a bit. There seems to be still some things that look like they need to be worked out. And I know that the network tables are, at least from my experience, easy enough to copy and paste from the documentation, which it still uses, where I would maybe think about waiting until next year for all of the bugs to get ironed out in the official library.
That is excellent feedback. Thank you, Ian. I'm glad you shared that with us. So, library use with caution.
Yeah, I had a bunch of feedback for him and actually sent him a pull request that he merged in. Most of that is more around like the structure that he chose to use, that it's kind of not really aligned with Java, but it seems to, be fine that if you use the library, it's just going to use the network tables and pull the data that you're looking for. Other than maybe if you don't have the data you're asking for, it logs a whole bunch of stuff, but you can go remove that because he has you just copying the code into your repository anyway, so you can easily modify it if you don't like something that's doing.
Great advice.
Thank you.
Andrew, what's your team number?
7028.
Oh yeah, you're over it. Okay, thank you.
Yep. Yeah, we talked at the hub meeting. We
We
were sitting
did.
next to each other at a couple of meetings. Yep.
Yep, I'm trying to put the faces with all the team names, but yeah, 7028. Perfect.
Well, what else? Is there anything else we want to chat about? It's been an hour. I think that an hour is certainly good. We usually go longer, but I'm happy to wrap it up. I definitely could use as much time off tonight as possible. I don't know about everybody else, but I need like a 3-day vacation before I go to competition. That's not going to happen, unfortunately.
I don't think anybody gets a 3-day vacation before competition.
Yeah, the week 0 was rough, but not a week 0 is hard work.
Wow. It always looks amazing. We appreciate it, that's for sure.
Well, just a general public announcement for Team 8878 Superior. We can use any help we can get for programming help. Scott been fantastic, and so has Corey. I don't have any coder on my team. The one kid that I have this interested, he been quite sick this past few weeks, so he's just as broad as I am. So if any of you in the area want to stop by 8878 and be like, hey, you're doing that in all crazy ways, and here's the way you go, we will follow you.
By the way, so I worked with Jeremiah tonight. They're using a product called Robot Builder, which I think Corey Applegate made, or at least he was a big part of making it. I had never seen Robot Builder until last year when Jeremiah's crew was at 10,000 Lakes. They were sitting next to us and we were trying to help them get robot code. But I have to say that Robot Builder program that creates your Java code for you, hats off to Corey and whoever else worked on it, because it is a really great
It's
product for
good.
teams that don't have a programmer or any programming experience. It for simple stuff like press a button, make a piston go in and out, or make a motor turn, really easy to get up a running code base. I mean, you're not going to do crazy complicated autos with it, but man, it can be a lifesaver for people in
It's a good
Jeremiah's
starting
situation.
point. It's been a lifesaver for me
Yeah,
this year.
it really is a great tool. So, I mean, even if you wanted to do something with brand new programmers, I could easily see starting off with Robot Builder as kind of a kind of click the check boxes. What do you want to do? And then look at the code that it generates, and then you can start modifying that code from there. Um, it's a really, really, really impressive product. So a little shout out for Robot Builder. If you're struggling with very few programmers or no programmers or brand new to code, take a look at it. It's really slick.
Could we quickly look at Team 359's reveal video? The ending is very interesting.
Sure, go ahead. Let's see it.
Yeah.
Who is 359? Where are they from?
The Hawaiian kids.
Oh, Hawaiian kids. Yep, I remember seeing this one.
Let me share my screen.
So I assume you're talking about the buddy climb system they've got?
Yep.
Yep. I saw that arm come out and I thought, oh boy, I wonder if that's going to be allowed. But I think the whole trick to being off the side like that is as long as your center of gravity is above the charge station, I think that you're on the charge station and you're not hanging from the charge station because hanging is not allowed.
The trick is going to be for the refs to be able to determine how high is your center of gravity on your
Right.
robot.
Yeah, I saw that Q&A response, and if I remember correctly, it seemed to be that the judgment is your center of gravity had to be above the charge station, otherwise you were
Yeah.
hanging from it, or attached to it, or grasping it, or whatever it might be. Although having looked at that, I'm not convinced that really saved them any extra space having tipped over like that. But maybe it's not about the space. Maybe it's about letting your friends get balanced, and then you just come on and it's quicker. Maybe that's the whole idea behind that. Because it didn't feel like it. I mean, it seemed to me like it took up 30 inches of the charge station anyway. But yeah, neat idea. I wonder how many other cool off the side type of hangers we're gonna see.
Have people looked at Wired Boar's Open Alliance thread? I know right now they're planning on doing a buddy climb that's similar to that, but I think it takes up like no space on the charging station, which was really interesting to see.
Do you have something handy you want to share, Ian?
I can look and see if I can find their Open Alliance thread link. And Chief Delphi. Then just I don't have it pulled up right on the right now.
So while Ian's trying to track that down, I have a question for the group. What do we want to meet next week? I assume we do. I mean, just because it's week one, does that mean that we shouldn't meet? And if we do, what do we want to talk about? We want to talk about how week one went. Is there anything else that's interesting that we should chat about?
I think that's exactly what I was thinking. Is like, hey, let's talk about week one because I have to go to week two, so I would like to get any wisdom from week one that would go over into week two.
All right, that's fine with me. We'll just talk about what we learned from week one, I suppose. Maybe we'll talk about what robots we thought did really well, strategies that worked well. I'm fine with that.
How many people are doing week one and week two? That seems
I
crazy.
have a feeling a lot of the teams up north are going to do that, right? Because who wants to drive 7 hours to go to a second regional?
The problem with my team is we wanted to, the kids, last year after 10,000 legs, they were like, Oh, and I got that reason too. You spend all this time working on a robot and you wanted to compete one weekend. It's like, can we do 2 competitions? And I was like, yeah, it doesn't hurt me. I mean, we got a fundraise for it, but anyway. And then, well, we have the Holy Trinity in my school. So if we're going to do 2 competitions, it's either we travel away, 6 hours away, or do we 1 and 2? Because if I hold on to Minneapolis again, that would be a nightmare with baseball season. So here we are.
Unlike those of us who go to Minneapolis and now have to go to lacrosse because the doors are closed for us in Minneapolis.
Well, if it makes any of you feel better, I'm volunteering weeks 1, 2, 4, and 5 this year.
What happened to week 3? Come on, John.
There aren't any Minnesota events in week 3.
Slacker.
Was it volunteer or voluntold?
Yes.
1, 2, 4, and 5. Wow. Where are you going for 4 and 5? Or 2? Are you going to Great Northern for 2?
Yeah, Great Northern, North Star, and 10,000 Lakes.
Okay.
And
And North Star is in lacrosse, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
5464. We'll see you there. Woo woo.
We'll see you there too.
I don't know. I feel like someday I want to go to Cedar Falls. I want to go to the Iowa Regional at some point, but I don't know that will ever happen.
We went there. It must have been about 10 years ago. It's a nice venue.
Well, I went to college in Waverly, Iowa, which is very close to UNI. So that's sort of old stomping grounds for me.
Yeah. I've been talking to the Booster Club about going to the Hawaii Regional. Just can't get him to flip that bill, though.
He's full of beans. He's not going anywhere on any plane. The first plane we're going on is to Houston, so stop that nonsense.
Yeah, you guys gets who that.
No, we do usually one sleepaway and one that was not a sleepaway. And we can't do any competitions. We came across an issue when it was on Easter weekend.
Yeah.
So we couldn't do that because we're not allowed to do anything on that Friday for Good Friday in Cambridge School District. So
who was the Minnesota team that went to the Silicon Valley Regional last year? They won chairman's in Silicon Valley. Was it Blue Twilight?
Probably. They travel every year.
Yeah, Blue Twilight. They took a trip to Silicon Valley and they ended up winning chairman's down there.
Wow.
Yeah.
They should host World Championship in Hawaii.
We would not be able to afford that one.
I'm trying to figure out how we're getting to Houston. Jeez.
Yeah.
Plane ticket alone would just eliminate you.
You'd have to take your robot apart, put it in each of your students' suitcases, and then reassemble it.
The reverse of that is we've hosted Hawaii.
We just have some dumb roadie drive it there.
To Hawaii?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Hawaiian kids have been to Duluth, right? David, is that
we've hosted them twice?
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, their goal is to do every regional at least once. So they pick a different regional every year.
Yeah, I've been on. This is my 8th year on the team, and we've only ever been to Duluth, Minneapolis. I love those 2 venues, and I would hate to not go there, but it'd be neat to do something else too. I don't know. I think that Blue Twilight a lot of times goes to Kansas, which is not terribly far away. But it's still something different.
So I wonder how teams manage like expenses and missing on school with these faraway regionals. If you have to travel like several times out of the school year to miss a lot of days of school, how do the kids keep their grades up?
I mean, even if you have local regionals, that's generally the case for a lot of us students. We're missing 2 to 3 days of school. So whether we're in state or out of state, I don't see it. It's usually a 1-day difference.
Well, and I also think it's not just the time you're out. My kids work so late the whole week before competition too. So it's not just being out those, but the first one for us usually falls right around that spring break. I don't know when your spring break is, but that does seem to help. But the downside is it's also finals.
And that's one of the pluses I'm seeing also for an earlier competition is you don't run into final week, around that time. I told the kids, I was like, well, instead of missing 6 days to school, we're going to go to school Wednesday, leave after school Wednesday, grab your homework for each of those weeks, we're gonna have to figure it out because part of them staying eligible to go on the trip was to also keep up with the grades too. So if you can't manage that, then you shouldn't be traveling with the team.
Well, don't they have to at your school, Jeremiah? Academic probation would keep them off my team.
Yep, that's exactly what we called it the NFL list. If you're on a near fail list, you're not going anywhere or participating in anything. Actually, one of my kiddos got herself involved into something, and so she has to sit out. I got to go to the AD tomorrow and make a case on her behalf to sit out one of the matches because, as a consequence for that.
So our consequence for something serious, it sounds like yours was serious. Cambridge does 2 games or whatever. So my kid that made a big error a couple years ago had to miss 2 competitions. So he had to be on the team for practice that whole year though, and knowing he couldn't go to those competitions because that's unfortunately how the robotics platform lays. But with our Minnesota High School League rules and whatnot, he had to miss two competitions. It's not competitions on their language, but that's what it is for us. So we had to talk him into practice.
Well, basically, she already missed 1 competition for something else she was in. But the case I'm going to make to the AD is this. Well, out of our season is pretty much boiled down into 1 or 2 weekends. So each of those matches, can be equivalent to a game. Let's say you had a basketball game and 2 weeks later you have another one. Well, we just all smushed into 1 weekend. So I'm going to make that case because I need her to be functional this coming weekend because she is my electrical.
Oh, that's funny. I was like, well, you must really like that kid because I'm all about consequences, but nope.
Well, but the thing too is she made a mistake, and she learned that she made a really bad mistake and made a bad choice. And it's one of those things. Also, is like we also have to understand too, when kids make mistakes, how far do we drag it out? And sometimes if the consequence is way too bigger than in their mind than the punishment, then whatever the act was, it's not as effective, because she has put in 99% effort in robotics. She quit basketball this year just to focus on robotics, and so she really has worked hard on this. And so if she has to miss both competition or even one of them, it's I don't know if I'll get her back next year.
Ian, do you want to share that video or just have everybody look at it in the thread that you posted in the chat?
I don't think there's a video of it yet.
Okay.
It's just they were developing it in the Open Alliance thread that I saw.
Got it. All right. We'll take a look at it later then. All right. Well, any last minute stuff here? Otherwise, let's sign off and then we'll meet back next week. It sounds like a lot of the people in here either will have 1 competition under their belt or 1 approaching announced within days. So, anything else before we sign off?
Good luck. Have fun. I'm sorry no one's going to be sleeping for the next week, but we'll see you in Superior.
All right. KnightKrawler's selling coffee, so if anybody needs caffeine, let me know. I can hook you up with some really good premium coffee. All right. Thanks, everybody. See you next week.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah. Good luck.